Hey guys, nothing special, nothing fancy, just going over what I'm doing right now. Just working a couple more of my bunkers. You can see here are my Taco John containers. I'm just putting a gray coat on it. What I'm using for the coat is Liquitex natural gray colored gesso, however that's pronounced. But I have to say right now, Liquitex is probably going to be my primary paint for now on. I've been using it for my models, and if I want to change the color of one of the Liquitex I'm using, I might put in a cheaper craft paint. Like, I don't know if I can find the model, but I've been using like this neon yellow and white Liquitex, and I've been mixing that together to make colors for my Work Boy shirts. But anyways, so this is my my base. I also used the same base for when I did the color for the building here. And what I did with that is I actually mixed some red, just some cheap red craft paint with it as a base, and then I've been going over it with that same paint. What I'm kind of doing also is trying to break in a new brush. Whenever I have real hair fiber brushes, they tend to flake out a bunch. Let's see here. I don't know if this will show up. There, you can see a little bit of them. There. Right in the center of the camera there, you should see some. So, but these are just gaming train tables, I mean pieces. I'm not really too worried about overall quality. It's just for use with the guys. But so I have these two to put together, or I mean these two to base, and I have one more yet to make into one. I've been using it to store bits and stuff in it, so it needs to be cleaned. It doesn't really need to be cleaned out, but it should be cleaned out. And then what I just do is I take paper, use junk mail that you get, and then crumple it. What I like to do is roll it up actually into like a tube, and then wrap that around inside. It works a lot better. I've done crumpling on the first two, and then I tried rolling it and layering it in, and that worked a lot better. And then I will probably stop here, finish the base paint, and then I'll show you what I use for the doors and for the ladders again. Of course, like these ladders, they're just Q-tips. Whether they've been previously used or not, I won't say, but then you just take off the heads and then cut them down to the appropriate size, and that makes pretty good ladders. Alright, be back in a moment. So just an update on the terrain I was doing. I got myself a new addition to my work area. I have another fluorescent lamp. So I have one on my left side, one on my right side, and then I got one in front of me. And this one's, I don't know, at least half my age, and this thing is still working. But so there you go. I got more light, and then in turn, having more light, the hair follicles that were coming off the brush onto here showed up a lot more. And I was like, no, I don't like that anymore. I don't like having all that brush hairs on my terrain piece. So I got sandpaper, and I've been sanding the hairs off. And what I'm going to try is, I have some sponge brushes, and I'm going to try that and see if that will give me a nice even coat and work faster. Otherwise, I don't have very many big brushes. I just got small flats. I was going to get myself some uh, air compressor parts so I can see if I can get my air compressor to work indoors. But I forgot that a lot of stores were going to be closed early today on New Year's Day. So maybe I can pick up a part before my game. But anyway, so I'm using sandpaper. I also found one of my models now. I'll go to macro mode here. So you can see here on this guy, he's got a nice bright orange shirt. But what happened is I was trying to paint the shirt quickly. I wanted to get it done instead of doing the slow thin layer applications. And what happened is I got a pretty pasty buildup. I'll see if I can do a couple photo shots of it yet before I do any other changes to it. But anyways, what I've been doing is, since it's got that rough textured thing, I've also been going over that with the sandpaper too, just to smooth out the rough textured, and it's working pretty good. Now it's like sandpaper to the model, it's not. I got a very fine grit sandpaper, and I'm not applying much pressure to it. And areas that are thinner folds, I just squeeze the rolled up sandpaper that I have just so it will get in there a little bit, you know, nicely. And it's just, I'm just slightly touching it, barely putting any pressure on there. I'm just trying to smooth out the rough texture. Okay, so update. Oops. Whoa, right. Yeah, sponge technique didn't work for this. So I'm going over it with just a flat brush. And I see that some areas when I was sanding it didn't quite get all the hairs. So I'm just gluing on some extra paint, and then I'll just sand it down. Now, it sounds goofy, all the sanding I'm doing, but that's part of my auto body classes I took. I still remember that, and it's working all okay. So maybe it's more work, but you gotta do what you gotta do to get a piece done. But anyways, so here's some of that remaining Taco John's. Now this one here, compared to the other three that I've done with a base coat, this one I actually took, since I found my sandpaper, I sanded the item first to give it a porous texture to it so the paint could stick to it better. Now, like if you're using an airbrush to apply onto the same thing, I still would recommend going it over lightly with with a sandpaper to rough up that surface so that the paint, when you're spraying on there, will stick to it nicely. That's the reason why auto body people do sand. Start off with like a heavy grit, then you spray the primer on it, and then you go up with the grit again, and you spray another coat, you sand it. It's a lot of work when you're doing auto body work. I just said work 3 times now. Anyways, battery's getting low here. I'm gonna probably try to finish the base coats on these 3 buildings. And just a reminder, in case you haven't seen the previous videos, this is what I'm trying to recreate. It's my Taco John bunker, and there's a steel ladder there and a doorway. So, and then the window way here is just blending. Sorry, it's kind of hard to move around with this one hand while I'm holding the camera in the other hand. So there you go. I'm hoping just to get them base coated with gray so that they're ready for gaming tomorrow. And then I'll have 4 bunkers for the kids to use. And ultimately I want to have about 5 of them so I can use them as objectives for missions and stuff like that. Alright, back with more later. So here's one of my buildings here, and this side here, if I can get it to show up, there you go. You see those vertical lines there? That's from sanding it. I sanded this side. This side is smooth, and this side has been roughed up. And again, I do that so that the paint can, there you go, it's coming in. But so that the paint will stick to the surface better. Because a foam board actually is pretty smooth. And when you apply paint to a smooth surface, it's going to be easy to actually flake it off. So since these are, I leave these at the club, and I know people just kind of drop them and throw them around and stuff like that. So by sanding it, it's going to help that paint just, you know, endure more wear and tear. Now this one here unfortunately has already been painted before sanding, but you can definitely see my touch-up sanding here when I was trying to get the hairs off of the paint. The abrasion shows up there pretty good. So that's what you would see on that white side that I had sand. Again, doesn't require a lot of pressure. It just requires to rough up the texture so that the paint will adhere to it. So one thing I forgot to mention about sanding, you want to have your mask on. There's a lot of fine particles coming off of the board paper here, and so I mean, anyway, like I said, I'm barely touching the surface, so I'm getting really fine dust. You can even see some on my shirt here. If it's in focus, I can't tell, but wear your masks. Well, this was as far as I'm going to get right now with the terrain. I want to get this edited on the computer and uploaded on YouTube, so that's going to probably take an hour there alone just to edit this. And I need to make a couple of lists for tomorrow's game, or possibly today's game. I don't even know what time it is anymore. But basically I got the two darker ones, they got the most coats on them. And then it's like, you know, a coat, sand, coat, and sand. These three here, they've already got 2 coats and have been sanded. I think that one's got 2 coats and been sanded. These ones on the end here, they've only got 1 coat. They haven't even really, they've been treated with sanding, but they haven't gotten a second coat on them yet. So definitely will go by a lot faster with an airbrush, since this is just really simple terrain. It doesn't even require dry brushing. But I just don't have the components to do that. So anyways, edit, do my list, and then do some more work on the models, and maybe have another video for you too, if I stay up that late.